right, guys, welcome back to the James and Jaden Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and whatever else comes up. Jaden, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Good. We're already off schedule from doing our every week doing a podcast on Thursdays, but this last Thursday was my anniversary, so thanks for giving me grace. And
we're delayed twice actually, because we got delayed to today, and then we got delayed from this morning to this afternoon for technical stuff.
Right. That's just, you can never predict anything. It's kind of like flipping houses, right?
Yeah.
You think you can predict it, but you can't.
Yep.
There's always something goofy. Today, we're going to talk about the cash buyer versus traditional selling your house. What is right for you? What works for you? And so basically, I kind of want us to talk a little bit about maybe some stories that we have that there's no way somebody's going to sell this traditional. Maybe there's some stories that we have. There's no way that they can sell this. They have to go on the MLS. And let's just talk a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
And then notice any misconceptions that sellers often have before they even start the process. What do we notice? What's the misconceptions? Again, I'm throwing a bunch of quick little questions out here as a little bit of a tease, but let's just kind of hop into it, Jaden. Why would somebody go a cash buyer versus a traditional buyer?
Yeah, well, I think let's start out with the misconceptions thing, because I think the misconceptions thing is like really broad, and it applies to almost everybody, it seems like. I don't think the general public really understands this industry very much. Would you agree with that?
100%. And the only reason I can agree with that because I'm in the business and I have to explain myself.
It's like the most misunderstood industry that I've ever seen, I think. So when people call us, they don't really know. It's like you get this really wide array of ideas of what the cash house buyer company does and how they work. And it can span from, it's a scam, or you pay full Zillow price, or anything in between. And people it's kind of odd how vast of an idea it is that people have. So the first thing that we do when people call us is educate them on what we do and why somebody would use our service and why this industry exists. So that's huge, I think. So why would somebody choose a cash buyer company versus a traditional real estate listing? So you got to mention that in some cases people have no choice, but I think in many cases they do have a choice. I think in almost every case they could possibly list the house. It just may not be the best option for them for a variety of reasons. So they may not.
Can we talk about those reasons really quick? I mean,
yeah. So
that's probably the main thing that everybody asks us, right? Like,
I
why would somebody do that?
I think in most cases that we deal with, I don't think these people have to take a cash offer. I don't think it's a have to kind of a thing usually. Yeah, I think in most cases they're calling us to see what we can do. Frequently calling some other companies, calling some agents, calling around, just like learning about their options. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, it's just, what's better about a cash buyer? Well, at least with a company like ours, where we're actually a cash buyer, we actually buy houses, we actually fix them up and sell them.
Hold on. Can you just restate it? When you say actual cash buyer?
Yeah, so that's another misconception of the industry that people probably don't understand, is that a lot of cash buyer companies aren't actually cash buyers. They don't actually buy houses, which is very confusing because they advertise that they do. So, or, and some of them that do buy houses with cash don't actually ever fix them up, and, they do other things with them. But so what I wanted to be clear about is that we actually do buy houses. We actually do, construction on, fix them up and resell them. So that's where a lot of companies don't. They might market that they do, and they're not actually ever buying houses, or rarely they're actually buying houses.
We actually use our capital to buy houses.
So you with us, you know what you're getting. You're working with a company that actually does buy houses. We will actually close on the house. In most cases, we will actually fix it up. Sometimes it may not make sense for us to fix it up, so there are cases where that happens too. But in general, if we say we're going to buy the house, we will buy the house. We do have other options as well, where we can offer other options for selling your house that aren't us buying the house. It may make more sense for us to help you list the house or help you sell it directly to another investor for different reasons. So there are other options that we have. But why would somebody want to work with a company like ours? I would say a lot of times they can list the house for sale, but they don't want to wait 30 or 60 or 90 days to see what happens. They don't want to take the risk. They don't want to deal with just general public, having showings of their house, having it out on the internet with all the photos. They just don't want to deal with all of it. Like they might, their house might be in disrepair. They might have somebody disabled living in the house. There's just all kinds of things. They don't want to deal with any of it.
The embarrassing part. That's probably
could be embarrassing. It's like a public thing. It's like you're putting your house in the public. A lot of people just don't want to do that. They don't want to put their house in the public. They want to just sell it to somebody, and I think that's probably the biggest fact. That and time and risk. They want it to be sold. They want to know it's sold. They want to know when it's going to close. They want to be assured that it's going to close for the prices that is agreed upon, so they can make other plans for their life to move forward. And when you list a house for sale on the market, you don't get any of that. You don't have any clue what's going to happen. And even when you do get an offer from somebody, they can cancel at any time pretty much, and then they can just not close because the financing falls through. So that's the big difference between listing and selling to a cash buyer.
Right. I wish we could probably fill a wall of all the excuses why somebody does not want to go the traditional route.
All the reasons. And just to clarify, like we do offer that. We have a real estate brokerage in-house, and we do offer to list people's houses for that. So it's not like we can't do that. It's just something that a lot of people that call us, they don't really want to do that in most cases.
Correct. And then there's another that people put out. People don't like realtors for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why people don't like realtors.
Well, because there's good ones and bad ones, right?
Well, there's that, but I think also the realtors are all kind of trained the same way. And you're a realtor, so I mean, it's not like it's a universal thing, but most real estate agents kind of have this idea of like they come in and like, you need to fix this, fix that, paint that, replace that carpet, change these cabinets, like get your house in the top pristine mint condition before they want to list your house. Right. And there's a number of real estate agents that will actually refuse to list your house unless it's in really great condition. And certain brokerages will refuse to list your house unless it's in great condition. So I think that's part of it. Also, I think there's the typical, idea of a real estate agent is that there's maybe kind of a high ego and they're kind of out for themselves and maybe not so much for the person selling their house. That doesn't apply to everybody, obviously, but I think that's kind of the idea that people have in the industry is this person that wears a suit and drives a fancy car and has a lot of gold jewelry. And right. It's not a really appealing idea for a lot of people to hire somebody like that.
Well, I always joke around as no one cares what kind of car you show up with. No one cares you just got done playing golf, 18 holes.
They do actually care if you show up in a really fancy car. They don't really like that, I would say.
Okay,
I would say most people don't like that.
If they're going to $800,000 listing, yeah, they probably do need
yes.
it. But our deals, we're going to,
right.
We can't. We don't want to show up in a fancy vehicle. I wear this. I'm in a, it's a sweatshirt, but it's a hockey sweatshirt. I want to, if there's any tip that I could probably give anybody, you mirror the people that you're out there with, right?
Yeah.
You automatically, because if you all of a sudden show up in a Rolls Royce and okay, maybe I'll dumb it down a little bit. You show up in a BMW, to a $150,000 house. They're just, they're going to look at you completely different. You show up in a beater truck, they're like, hey, he's here to help.
He's my kind of guy. Now, if your seller is selling a house with a BMW in the driveway, and you show up in a BMW, then that's probably a good thing to do, But our sellers, we're not dealing in that market. Usually, we're dealing in more of the general market where it's just normal people, and our sellers generally aren't. They're driving Porsches, BMWs, and things like that. So I remember early on in the first year we were in business, we went out to a appointment together, and the guy said the previous person that had been out was wearing a suit and tie, and he wanted to cut his tie off. So he's like, he really appreciated we came out in like hockey sweatshirts or something like that.
So remember that other guy who thought he was more, I don't know, common guy, let's call it, and all of a sudden he pulled out his $150 pen or something. What was that?
Yes, yeah, I remember that story too.
And the guy that was selling it basically looked at him and goes, if you can afford a $150,000 pen.
$150 pen, yeah.
Or $150 pen, you're not buying my house. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. No, we learned early on. We already knew that. I think, to not, overdress and all these different things. Not that we don't want to anyway. So we weren't going to anyway, but yeah, I think some people teach to, dress fancy and all these things. And like, again, if you're selling $1 million house, probably dress up for that. But otherwise, if you're meeting with normal people, try to match kind of how they move through the world, I would say.
So I'm licensed down there in Florida. And so when I go to Florida, guess what? I wear flip-flops. That is so weird for me because I can't do that here.
You know what's funny? I live in Florida and all I have is flip-flops basically. And I don't even think about it. But I remember when I was in Minnesota thinking, I remember like, oh, if you have to go to a meeting, you can't wear flip-flops because it's too casual and it would be kind of like offensive or disrespectfful.
Right.
And that's such not a thing down here. Like even if you're going to a fancy business meeting, flip-flops are fine. Generally, unless you're wearing a suit. I mean, if you're wearing a suit and tie, which almost no one does down here.
Right.
But if you were doing that, then you'd want to wear some shoes. But otherwise, no, flip-flops are fine.
Yeah, that's why I always like to do business with people that are like-minded like myself. It's not that I get intimidated when I deal with somebody who's wearing a suit. I think they have a different mentality.
Yeah. I don't like wearing suits personally, so let's just
hold on. You don't even own a suit for crying out loud.
I might have one somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe. I was
like, wait a minute. When's the last time? In fact, that's funny that you even say that. We have a wedding that's coming up in October, and I have a suit. And I'm like, I told Jen, I'm like, you know what? I want to get that suit out. I want to go in style. I mean, I bought this damn thing back in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try it out. So stay tuned for me in a suit.
Yeah. So let's talk about what are the different factors where somebody goes with a cash buyer. I think I mentioned a couple already. It's speed, risk, knowing that they have a closing, they can schedule the closing to the date that they want it to be, so they can arrange the rest of their plans around that. So they know when they're going to get paid. They know when the house is going to be off their hands. They have certainty. Again, one thing to be cautious about is some cash buyer companies actually aren't even offering that. People might think that they are, but they're not. So be careful who you work with, because a lot of cash buyer companies either aren't actually going to buy your house cash, or the ones that do frequently will drop the price on you at the last minute before closing. You might end up falling out of contract because of it. So
you know what? I don't know if we have this in our cheat sheet here, but I would love to talk about that maybe near the end if we want to try to remember that, of like what other tactics that other companies do out there.
Yeah, I don't know how to. It's like I want to tell people what to watch out for, but it's hard to even. I just can tell you like this is what other companies are doing. I don't know. Okay, so we wanted to talk about some personal stories that where the client was looking at this exact situation where they're looking at listing versus selling to a cash buyer, and where they ended up doing one or the other. So I don't know. I've got a couple I could talk about, unless you had one on top of your mind.
If you got one right now, I was just trying to. I mean, I was
just thinking of like one obvious one was that we've run into a lot is that woman was her husband had passed. She was elderly in her 70s. She was, I think, had one of her kids living with her, adult kids, and she was just her health was declining, and it was in a 2-story townhouse, and she was kind of at the point of going into assisted living. And this is really common. We deal with it quite a bit. And with assisted living, it's kind of like they want some certainty. They want to know when you go into assisted living, they want to know like how much money do you have in your accounts, like what assets do you have, that's all these things. And you pretty much have to sell your house or your real estate when you go there. And then sometimes what happens is you start out on your own funds usually, and you'll convert over to, if you run out of your own funds, you'll eventually convert over to county funds eventually, if you do run out of your own funds. So people will sell their house to get some certainty on the date, so they know what date they're going to move into assisted living. Then they'll have certainty on the amount of money they're going to get out of their house to give to the assisted living facility. And when they're in that situation, they usually don't want to deal with showings and things like that. They're elderly. They might be dealing with disability. The house is maybe not in the best condition. They're living there. They just don't want to deal with it. It's not even really, they don't see it as an option, even though it obviously is an option. It's not really something they want to do.
Jaden, so, I think you're talking about the one that they are waiting for a call from the state to say we have an open bed, but they have
Yeah.
30 days to make that decision, right? And then what happens is they want to know that it's sold. So we've set up something with them in the past, if I'm not mistaken.
Because when a bed opens up, they only have a certain amount of time to jump in.
Yep.
So they have to know that, okay, that house needs to be sold. The money has to be freed up. I got to go. I'm moving. And we've run into this quite a few times, actually. It's not just one case I'm talking about. It's kind of a group of them. But even when it isn't a situation like that where they need to have a specific date, it's just like, it just makes everything so much easier for them. They've already got enough going on in their life with their health and having to sell a property, move to assisted living. They don't need to worry about having to fix the house up to list it for sale and having showings and things like that. It's just a lot more headaches than they're willing to take on. So I think that's a really common one.
That's a real common one. I'm going to give you another example of why somebody didn't take a cash one and they went traditional.
Yeah.
It's that same story, that same exact scenario you just gave me, where they said, you know what, mom is probably in a little bit better health, and mom's probably going to live a lot longer but she needs to go to assisted living.
Mm-hmm.
So to get the most dollars out of it, we're able to help them sell it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably the biggest thing that I want to make sure everybody knows what we do is we never force anybody. I think if you would say if there was something different about home, guys, we could probably name about 10, 20 different ones. But one of the main things is we have options. We don't force anybody. We don't push anybody just into one deal. We want to find out what you want.
Right.
What you want to do.
Yeah, we're there to listen. And if you are leaning towards one or the other, we'll listen and help you understand those choices. And in a lot of cases, I think, we want to present the option to list your property, even if you're not asking for that. We want you to know it's available. But in a lot of these cases, it's not of interest. It's just not of interest because there's too much hassle and stress and headaches. It doesn't line up with what they're trying to accomplish.
Right. So if you could define what a cash buyer was in 3-4 words, what's a cash buyer?
It's really hard. I mean, it's hard because what people are calling cash buyers in the marketplace are frequently not cash buyers. But cash buyer, I can define what a cash buyer should be.
Let's go there first, and then let's go
do that.
What other people think what are cash buyers. So to us, our company, what are we a cash buyer?
When I started in this business 15 years ago, whatever it was, a cash buyer to me, which is still the case, is what I see as a cash buyer, is a company or an individual with cash or capital that can close quickly within usually a couple days, usually has a lot of experience doing this, a real estate investor with a lot of experience buying houses cash and fixing them up and selling them, has a track record of doing that, has the capital available.
Hold on. Are you getting into the weeds a little bit on that? I mean, because if you're a cash buyer, are you putting that with hard money too? I mean, are you considering?
Well, I just think the capital is available. So it doesn't really matter to me as a cash buyer what the capital is from, if it's in a bank account or lender or whatever, partner or whatever. As long as you can prove that you have the funds to close, I don't think it would really matter.
Because that's what I was just going to say is my cash buyer to me is somebody who can close. If title is cleared, a cash buyer can close in 2 to 3 days.
Yes. Yeah. If title's cleared 2 to 3 days, if title's not cleared yet, it's going to take maybe 7 days to get title cleared and close.
And I'm still okay with that being a cash buyer too, if it's still 7 to 10 days.
Yeah,
but
somebody can close pretty quickly.
Quick. There is no hiccup. There is no,
Yeah, if somebody can't close in 5 days or less, they're probably not really a cash buyer. What they're probably doing is trying to get a contract signed and sell the contract, which is called a wholesaler. It's called wholesaling. That's a whole different business, but they present themselves as cash buyers. They call themselves cash buyers. All their marketing looks exactly the same. Looks like it's a cash buyer company. But at the end of the day, they're not actually going to buy the property. So that's one thing to watch out for. The other thing is, again, ever since I've been in this business, the whole point of working with a cash buyer was to have certainty of what you're doing and to have certainty that you're going to close. That was kind of the whole benefit of it. Is that I know the price I'm getting, I know the amount of money I'm going to get, I know when I'm going to close. All these things are certain. That was the value, and it's still the value that we provide. But now with a number of other companies, have changed their tactics to where they change the price before closing. Well, that benefit is, at least with those companies, that benefit doesn't exist. That certainty is gone. You don't know if it's going to close for sure. You don't know what price it will close at because they could change it, because they frequently do. So then what's the point of working with a company like that? If that was really the main value, and that's not really, it doesn't exist there anymore. And so that's all I can say about that is, you could ask questions. If you're talking to a cash buyer, you could ask questions like, how often do you drop the price before closing? And, hopefully they would be honest. I don't know if they would be or not, but I hope they would be honest about it.
And I know you just brought it up again, but we're going to talk about that at the little bit of end, like what to look for on cash buyer.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Because I want to stick with the cash traditional, and then I want to go back to that.
Yeah,
I think that's.
I think we should touch on one of the main benefits of the traditional is you're going to get more money. You did say that, like if you list your house for sale, you're generally going to make more money. You're going to net more money at the end of the day. So if you can go through the timing and the hassle and the having to do repairs and inspections and all that stuff, you're generally going to get more money at the end of the day. So I do want to get that out there, because sometimes people call us. I think some people think that if they can sell it to a cash buyer, they can avoid like realtor fees and title fees and actually get more money at the end of the day. And that's almost never going to happen. Just to be clear, like that's just the way it works out cost wise. You're not going to get more money generally selling it to a cash buyer than you would.
You're selling for convenience.
It's convenience. I mean,
100%.
There may be an example where somebody could get more money, but it'd be very rare. But people do call us thinking that. They think, whatever Zillow says the price is, that a cash buyer would pay them that price. And I think maybe Zillow created some of those expectations because Zillow used to buy houses. But they obviously quit buying houses because they lost a lot of money doing that. So that's not really a thing. You're not going to get a Zillow price from a cash buyer. In fact, you won't get a Zillow price from an MLS listing either.
Right.
I mean, it's not a real thing.
Right. So obviously we're better in cash. That's more of the circle that we run around. But what I always like to tell people on the traditional side is we actually do the traditional side on all our flips, right? I mean, so we know how to get rid of a property.
No, how many houses have we sold traditionally?
Well, besides the ones that we on the side of I would say.
I mean, total.
500?
No, more than that.
Traditionally?
Well, of course. How many houses have we sold of our own traditionally?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
over 1,000, I think.
Yeah, it's probably over 1,000.
I think it's over 1,000. I mean, so yeah, we have a lot of experience selling houses traditionally. We have experience as the owners frequently, so we know exactly what it takes to sell a house, what it takes to get the best amount, the highest dollar for it, what things to fix, what things not to fix, etc. We have more experience than I mean, probably every real estate agent in the state of Minnesota. I would think. I mean, how many people have sold over 1,000 houses? Not very many.
In a short period of time that we've.
In a short period of time, yeah.
What we've done or how we've grown the company. So,
yep.
Yeah, that's. I can't believe we've actually sold that many. So I don't know what I was saying. I kept trying to remember what I was saying about traditional. So again, we never turn down a traditional sale. And again, but we're not there to sit back. We're there to hand you options and let them decide which angle they want.
Yeah. Right. We have a brokerage in-house. All of our salespeople are licensed real estate agents. So any of our salespeople that meet with sellers can list your house for sale. And like you said, we have capabilities that most real estate brokerages don't have. We have capabilities to help you, fix up your house and get if you want to try to get top dollar for it. We probably are more prepared to help you do that than anybody. That's what we do, because we have to do it with our own houses.
So misconceptions on traditional sales. How would you explain the traditional sales process to someone who's never gone through it?
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. I guess I don't know what someone's never gone through it, they may not know how cumbersome and complex and burdensome it is. It is. I think people might think it's like selling a car or something like that. If you've never been through it, it's kind of shocking how much there is to it, honestly, even with a real estate agent involved. So, you've got to, they probably don't know if they've never done it. They probably don't know, like, well, it might take 6 months, especially in the market that we're in now. And it may not even sell after 6 months. You might spend 6 months doing showings and things and not even sell it, which is pretty common now with the way the market is. So I think people don't know that they can spend a lot of time and effort and money trying to sell their house for a long period of time and either maybe end up selling it at the end of the day after a long period of time, or maybe not even selling it, you know.
I think what most people need to start realizing that you can't just throw your house up on the market and it's going to sell. There's a lot of things that are going to come in play.
Yeah.
Location, timing. Timing is part of the year, right?
Layout of the house.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's so many little things.
There's a lot of nuance to, yeah. What school district you're in, you know.
Hey, tip of the day. I tell people, if you're gonna sell your house, sell it in the spring. You're gonna make the most money. Then wait till fall and buy your house, because you're gonna get the most money, and you're gonna get in the beginning, and then you're gonna get a better deal, because people who sell their house in November, December, January, guess what? They sell their house because they have to. They got another job. Something's going on in their life. They're moving. Most people that have a lot of common sense, especially in Minnesota, we wait till the summertime. We wait till the springtime. So I always tell people, you really want to get a good value of your on your house, buy it in the fall.
And how much of a price difference would there be for somebody selling in the spring and buying in the fall?
I mean, we're looking we've seen 10 to 15% difference
every year.
Yeah. Every year, you guys. This is our KPI that we see.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, and so this is the reason why in the fall time we will buy properties and sit on them, because again, we're buying them a lot cheaper, even on a discount side, because we can't get rid of them. We know we can't get rid of them, but our business plan is set up. We can hold these. And then put them. Well, we're not even holding them. We're rehabbing them
we're working on them, and also the spring. I think people don't know, like the spring market. When I first started doing this many years ago, the spring market was like April and May. That's what it was.
Not in spring.
And now it's moved all the way up to January 2nd, basically, is when the spring market, or January 3rd, maybe. So the middle of winter is really when the spring market starts.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's because there's more demand. We can think that 10 years, a period where we didn't build any houses.
It may change. That the market's getting quiet, like a little quieter and softer. It might shift back a little bit again to where it's not in January. But the nice thing is, if you just plan for January for selling your house, this is what I always figure is like, well, if you get on the market in January and say it's still kind of slow because January is cold and it's a bad weather or whatever, well, then you're all ready to go for February and March and April when the market just goes like this. You know, so you're just sitting there waiting for it to. You're going to hit the peak of the market. You know, what you don't want to do is be late. You don't want to get, plan for getting on in March, and then something happens. You don't get listed until April 15th or something, and now you've missed most of the spring market.
Right, and so that comes into play for how we buy houses too. I'm going to tell everybody, we bought a house with a pool. All right. Do I ever buy a house with a pool? Actually, we bought 3 of them this year. One in Florida and 2 in Minnesota. The one in Florida we still own, but I'm not worried about that. The one in Minnesota, the other one in Minnesota we sold. It's under contract. It's selling. But we have another one that we might have to hang on to it throughout the winter just to know that we will. Do we automatically lose money now, or do we go back to that spring price in the spring and see if we can sell it then and see if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Pools, guys. That's a timing thing. I thought I bought this pool at the right time. There might have been some miscommunications with people who were doing the work, but I knew that I had to get that pool completely clean before we're going to put it on the market. Well, that was probably about 6 weeks off. That right there might have hurt us as a business, because now it's hard to sell a house in September with a pool. Let's just say somebody looks at it right now. They're not getting in there for 30 days. They don't even get to enjoy the pool until the springtime.
Right. The warm weather months go by quick in Minnesota. So if you miss it, it's real quick.
Yeah. So now we're at that time. So let's just say we're going cash. We're a a seller that just said, you know what, we decided to go cash. How do I vet other companies? How do you vet, what do you look after? So I'm going to, you guys, there's people out there that use these tactics that we don't believe in. I'm going to let Jaden explain some of these tactics that they do. And you guys, this is where I think if you're an agent and you still sign, you have ethics, I think you're crossing the line a little bit. I really do. This is that spot. So what are you looking at for a cash buyer, Jaden?
Well, I think if you were talking to cash buyers, you wanted to make sure that they were good, ethical cash buyers. It can be hard because some of these things, I mean, you may not find out about it until closing. You can't. I don't think there's any foolproof way to figure it out. But I think one thing you could look at is their Google reviews. Read their Google reviews and see what people are saying about it. Because if somebody had an experience where they dropped the price right before closing, there's a good chance they'll leave a Google review about that. So,
hold on. This is the perfect timing. Share that now. Why would somebody? What are people doing out there that are driving you and me to go gray? Because
so here's what the deal is. It's kind of like the real estate agent industry. We should talk about this too. So one of the common practice in the real estate agent industry has been called buying listings. What buying listings is telling a seller that you're going to get a higher price for their house than what the house is really worth. And the point of doing that is because if they talk to 3 agents, which on average people talk to 3 agents, and you provide a higher list price than the other 2 agents, there's a likely chance the seller will sign with you because you provided a higher list price. And frequently in these cases, the agent that did that knows that the house is not worth what that list price is. So they're going to list it for that price, and then they're going to drop the price after 2 to 4 weeks down to what it should be. And that's called buying the listing. And that's been going on forever, I think. And that's frustrated us for a long time because people will talk to agents and get the idea that their house is a lot more valuable than it actually is because the agents will be trying to buy the listing. Now that tactic has shifted into the cash buyer industry. This is fairly new. That didn't used to be in the cash buyer industry. In fact, I think maybe the cash buyer industry existed partly because of that tactic. So now we've got cash buyers that are offering higher prices than what they can actually pay to get a house under contract, knowing that right before closing, they're going to renegotiate the price on the contract. And they're hoping that you've spent enough time and investment in this process that you will just agree to the lower price before closing. And it's bait and switch. Is what it is. It's a bait and switch.
Can I give the scenario really quick? I'll just add to your story right there. So here's what happens. They give you the higher price. Now it's a week before you're going to close. All of a sudden, ring, ring, ring. Yeah, we're going to lower your price. What? Well, guess what? You as the seller, you have that money already spent.
Yeah, you probably got moving trucks lined up.
You got moving trucks. You got everything set up, and then
they know that. They know that.
But then you're right. They absolutely know that. So they know you're going to go, all right, I guess I'll take $20,000 less. I'm still getting $40,000 because they're in that pickle, or they're in that spot like, hey, they have to take this, or they feel like they have to take it. I will tell you, this year, Jaden, we have really fought back on that. And I want to say we got 7 or 8 of them where we said, you know what, you need to take that higher offer, but I don't believe it's real. You give me a call and I'll still give you what our price is over here. I'm just telling you how it's going to play out.
When they change the offer.
It plays out exactly. Boom, boom, rings home, guys. Hey, I want you to come back to my house. Yeah, that is exactly what happened. So,
and I think people appreciate our honesty. I hope they do. I mean, our integrity and our honesty.
But it's not just our honesty, Jaden. What gets us the deal is we tell them exactly how it's going to go down, and then when it goes down that exact way, they're like, I don't know, it makes us look like geniuses. But
you know what's interesting? That this exact same tactic was used on me when I moved to Florida.
Moving company.
It's used in other industries. It was a moving company. We were looking at a moving company to move our stuff from Minnesota to Florida, which is a pretty big task, and can be pretty expensive. Like a Mayflower type moving company can be $20,000 to move your stuff across the country like that. So I went on Google to try to find a cheaper option because that's a lot of money. And there's this company called Budget Van Lines, and they quoted us way lower than everybody else. And that should have been a red flag. I don't know why I wasn't thinking it was, but it was like less than half the cost of everybody else. And I was like, they seemed really friendly and helpful and nice. And I'm like, well, cool. But what could possibly go wrong, right? And they had like the few reviews I saw online seemed okay, and I didn't see any red flags other than it was super cheap. And we signed up with them. We signed a contract with them, very similar to how real estate works. We signed a contract with them. Once they had us under contract and they had us investing our time and energy into working with them, they started changing things. And it was a bait and switch the entire time. So it was a certain amount of money up front that was non-refundable. And then when they showed up to our house, all of a sudden, oh, you have more stuff than we thought you did. It's going to be more money. So the price went up. And then once they moved our stuff to a holding place in Iowa, and then called us and said, oh, hey, we gotta charge you more money because we're paying for this place in Iowa now. If you don't pay us the money, your stuff's gonna be stuck in Iowa.
So they held your stuff for ransom?
It was like ransom. It's like extortion or whatever, blackmail. I don't know what you call it. What are you going to say? No, I'm not going to pay them. They have all your stuff, like your entire house full of stuff they have now. And they know this. It seems criminal. It sure does seem criminal. But then they get down to Florida, and it's like, okay, we can deliver it to your house, but that delivery charge is going to be another. You have to pay the driver now $3,000 directly. You got to pay him. Otherwise, he's not going to deliver to your house. And so it's like this litany of fees. And at the end of the day, we ended up paying as much or more than if we had just hired Mayflower. And it's exactly the same thing. It's a bait and switch. And I think that we reported that to Florida after it happened to us. We found it happened to other people down here too. And it's been a widely reported thing down here, wish I had known that, But I think that the Attorney General is cracking down on that stuff because if it's not criminal, it's very borderline criminal. And I think that this stuff that's going on in real estate is very similar. It feels very similar.
Hey, everybody, if you want to know what it costs to move down to Florida or tips and tricks, what to do for moving down to Florida, please reach out to Jay.
Reach out to me if you guys have any questions about moving to Florida, because I don't want anyone else to go through what we went through. And you can move across the country for a reasonable cost.
Sell all your stuff.
Well, that's what it comes down to.
Couches. Don't move your
anything that's bigger than this, sell it unless it's worth $20,000. Just sell it. Sell all of it and rebuy it wherever you move to.
Right. Hey, Jaden, we're coming to the end of our show. I really appreciate Brady setting this up about talking about cash versus traditional sale with an agent. Is there anything you want to any other major points we want to explain? I guess one of the things I want to push
do your due diligence on whoever you're working with, and just know that this is going on across the industry. It's not uncommon. Those different things are not uncommon. They're taught across the industry, across the nation, and be careful who you work with. Is all. Do some research on people, for sure.
I guess the other thing too is, and this is probably this is another thing I share with a lot of people. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
And then that's why we know, you guys, we know a deal is going to come back to us when the homeowner, accepts somebody else. And we're okay with that. Because again, I encourage everybody to take, if they want to take which is the most money, go for it. But I also want to share that it's not always about the money. It's about, can you get this job done? Can you do exactly what you say you can do? So.
Right. And if it's going to put you in a pickle trying to take that higher offer, just be aware that is very likely to happen, that you're going to be in a pickle. So just be careful.
Right. So any other last words there, Jaden?
No, nothing else. I think we started this company to try to be a trusted voice in the industry, and we continue to do that. And we're committed to having high integrity, and we always will. And we will never resort to tactics that violate our integrity. So that's what we stand for. We're trying to do this across the whole country. We're trying to bring this to every community in the country, not just Minnesota.
Right. And I love how at the very end here on my notes it says there's no one size that fits all. on all of this. And again, that's what we're trying to bring to the market. We want to set the options out there and let you as a seller decide what is best for you. Too many people force this down your throat, and that is not what we do whatsoever. We 100% sit with you, figure stuff out. Oh yeah, another thing is, I'm going to tell you, don't go for the 24-hour must sign now.
So that's another tactic that you got to sign it with 24 hours business. Yeah. Yep.
That's the other tactic. Hey, Jaden, thank you so much for showing up. I know it's Friday. Go enjoy the family, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.